Hi guys, welcome to my weekly podcast. Today I was thinking about talking about the 3 days that Jesus went to hell. The says that the went to the heart of the earth. So what does it mean? He went to the heart of the earth. I just comparing it to Plato's cave, where people are in the shadow. They're seeing the shadows, and one person goes out and he sees the light. And when he sees the light, he comes back and tries to tell the people that what he has experienced, and no one believes him. So that is the thing that I can think of and think that Jesus went to hell, and and the people that he met, and what does it mean? Jesus went to hell, mean to the heart of the earth. To Yeah. So no, you got to understand. No, I think the nobody clearly has explanation. I think divine principle does have an explanation to it, and its explanation is very clear. Jesus really was enlightening people in hell. Hell means the people who are out of God's domain, who are in Satan's domain, who receive the love or receive Satan's vitality, who are in hell, who are in the domain of Satan, are in hell. So Jesus went to those people, and he witnessed to those people. So he taught the truth to those people who had never heard, and he resurrected those people. He enlightened those people. So when you receive the truth, you be enlightened. When you are enlightened, that means you're from darkness, you're coming to light. So this is what resurrection is all about, coming from Satan's dominion, that to ignorance to wisdom, to understand God's word and living by the word. That is where you get spiritually resurrected. I mean, death, from death to life is resurrection, but from a physical death to physical life is resurrection. But that is really what you are saying. It is a miracle. When you at some point in your life, you will die, you will age, and your cells will decay, your organs will not function, will decay as well. So what remains is your spiritual body, and spiritual body is eternal. And many people who do not receive the love of God and do not understand the love of God dwell in that kind of realm, and that is hell that way. It become very in a very low realm, and that is why Jesus went into the low realm, and he was talking to the people, witnessing to the people. And Jesus was light, so he was giving light to the people. He was a real light. That's why they talk about Plato's cave, because Jesus was the light. So anybody who receives that light is be resurrected. And that's why Jesus is the agent for resurrection. The Messiah is the agent for resurrection. Without the Messiah, without him, you cannot resurrect. You cannot understand. That is why he just said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. He said, I am the resurrection. Even though you live in darkness, you will have light. I will put those quotations in the descriptions, or what was said at the time of Jerusalem. That's a very important subject, and nobody ever understands what resurrection is. Resurrection is when you come from a domain of ignorance to a domain of wisdom, from Satan who keeps you in ignorance, and you come into the light. You are resurrected. You are enlightened. You have the truth. This is what I want to talk to you about resurrection. People do not understand what resurrection is all about, because they just think resurrection is all physical. There is a physical body and there is a spiritual body. So, the spiritual body will be resurrected when you receive the truth, when you receive rebirth, when you have been born again to a life of truth. When you get born again, then you are resurrected. So resurrection does not mean that you're from physical death to come physical life. We know there are so many examples in the Bible. Like for example, Lazarus. Lazarus was resurrected. It was a physical resurrection, and it was a miracle. So did Elijah raised another young boy. It was also a physical resurrection. So what happened to Jesus is we don't know really. Really, what happened to Jesus' body? Because that doesn't really matter what happened to Jesus' body. I mean, even if Jesus lived on earth, he eventually would have died. That is a natural occurrence. And when he appeared not in a physical body, he appeared in a spiritual body. And it's interesting to understand, right? We have clothes in our body, but how about the people who saw Jesus? Did Jesus had clothes? Because clothes is a physical property. Yes, he manifested clothes because he had a meal with people. So the spiritual life, a spiritual entity is real. No one, even demons, they don't appear naked. I have never seen anyone appear naked. And even people have no one. They appear. They manifest themselves. They manifest their clothes. They manifest themselves in a very respectable manner. So people have seen demons. I mean, like they see demons. I mean, we don't know how they have seen them. They don't concentrate on their physical appearance, or whether they see them in a very dark attitude, dark way. But of course, they are sexual parts. I'm sure they are covered. You can't see the sexual. If they are covered, that means they have to have some type of garment on it. So the spiritual entity that you or ghost that you see in the physical world, what you see, it has some kind of physical property as well because they have clothes. Where the clothes come, I don't know that how the clothes manifest themselves. I mean, Jesus did not appear naked when he appeared to his disciples. He appeared in a robe. So we have to think about that. How do people spiritually appear? They appear in a spiritualized form, but of course they have garments. How did Elijah and Moses appear? Of course they had garments on them, even though Elijah very scantily dressed. Elijah, he had a loincloth, as they say. But he appeared. He appeared in a way that the Bible is clear, but they say that he appeared to in the Mount of Transfiguration. So spiritual entities have a way of appearing to people on the physical realm, because you have a physical body and you have a spiritual body, a corresponding spiritual body. So we have to clearly understand what resurrection is. Now, people don't have any clue about resurrection. Sometimes they don't even think about it. What resurrection is? Resurrection is maybe it's Jesus physically rose and he went to heaven. Oh, okay, he went to heaven. Let's pause on that thought. He went to heaven. Okay, where is heaven? Uh, is heaven in another galaxy? I mean, we have so much advanced science, advanced material science we have. No, it's a spiritual entity, spiritual existence. It's not a physical existence. It's not the existence of atoms and protons and all these things. It has spiritual elements, spiritual characteristics, which is love and truth. It's light. I mean, if you look at light, I mean, you can try to analyze and say whether it's a physical property. Light is a physical property. We try to explain spiritual phenomena from our earthly understanding, from our metaphorical understanding. We try to understand, like I think even the book of Revelations. I think it's basically it's a very spiritual phenomena. It's because it is a revelation of Jesus Christ. What John of Patmos, there was like a secretary. He was just taking down what was being said. So this point of the spiritual entity. So resurrection means that you can say resurrection is from coming from life, from death to life. That is resurrection, from spiritual death to life, because the wages of sin is death. Anything that you have to do with sin, a relationship with Satan, a relationship with Satan is sin. That is why in the divine principle, we define sin as a thought or an action. If we think and we do it, a thought and an action that violates a heavenly law, violates a law that is contrary to God, and enters into a reciprocal relationship with God's arch enemy, Satan, of give and take action, is called sin. So we have to remove sin. So the only way that the agent to remove sin is the Messiah. The Messiah is the one who can remove our sin. He is that agent that God has designated for him to remove our sin. So when the sin is removed, when the agent removes the sin, then we attach ourselves to God and to God's lineage. So we have to have this kind of understanding, and we can grow that way, and we can have the full love of God. We can really be pure in our conscience, in our thought. So it's like a voluntary submission to the will of God. It's interesting because the Christian faith. If you think of the Christian faith and unification, it is not a forceful religion like Islam. I mean, people in some, when colonizers went to countries, yes, they did violence. They did violence, and they wanted people to convert into Catholicism, but in generally, it's really you know generally it's not you can accept it, you can reject it. You have the choice, but we can give you the truth. We can lay it down to you. It's your determination. It's your choice. It's your choice to select good or evil. So this is why that's why we say if you constantly you select good and you make good conditions, then you can resurrect. You can resurrect to understand God. You grow. Resurrection is also growth, maturity. So there's so many things we can talk about resurrection. If you can really understand to remove yourself from evil thoughts and connect to God. That is the way that you should go, and this is what I want to emphasize really. When Jesus went down to the heart of the earth, it went to the lower arms, and he educated people. That is why the tombs were open in Matthew 27:52. It says, "Man, the tombs were open, and many who have fallen asleep were woken, and they appeared to many." So people who had their spiritual eyes at that time, they appeared to them. So how do they appear to them? They appeared in their spiritualized form. So how do the spiritualized form appear? I don't know. They do not. Definitely. I have never heard anybody saying that they appeared naked. They had clothes on, they had some type of garment on them. So therefore they can physically manifest certain things. Some spiritual properties they can manifest. So I think that is the key point of resurrection is so vital to our lives, because we every day when we grow we are resurrected. Day by day when we have an understanding of the truth, we are resurrected. So when we come in from ignorance to wisdom, we are resurrected. Spiritually we are resurrected. We are enlightened. We understand. So it is not. It's like, it's coming from death to life. That is resurrection, from death to life. So the condition is that you have to be, you have to be dead to resurrect. So the life-giving, living entity, living agent is Jesus Christ, or the Messiah, who comes, that God gives for our grace. God gives him for our grace, and that when we accept him and when we understand his teachings and when we be enlightened by his teachings, then we resurrect. So it's very, it's very important that we can understand these topics instead of just living our lives, because sooner or later we are all going into the next world. So how do we prepare ourselves? How can we? If we are not perfect, if we not achieved our goals here on earth, then we have to come back. We have to come back and work with people on earth and influence the way. It will be so difficult for us to do it, but that's the only way that because we don't have physical body to grow. Like the physical body, it's like the soil, and we like our souls are like the plant that we got to get nourishment from our physical body. So so the physical body gives us vitality, and in the same way the spirit body give us the spiritual body gives the physical the spiritual elements for the physical body. So that way we resurrect and we grow. So it's very important that we can talk about. This is what my topic today I want to talk about. I know I gave this podcast after 2 weeks, but I just thought of I will gain emphasis on this topic of resurrection, because it's so important. Repetition is very important in our spiritual lives. That is why we have four gospels. Four gospels, we remember, talk of the same thing in a different angles. So in the same way, like what I want to talk about is on resurrection from a different angle, and this angle that I'm talking about on resurrection is on the angle of how Jesus went to the lower arms and started to witness to people and resurrect them, give them light, give them the truth. Because when they accepted it, then they could have come to life, and they could live with him. So our whole life has to be centered upon him and his desire and his wills for us, and we got to be loving and kind human beings and fulfill our purpose of creation. So thank you for listening. I wish you all a happy week, and may God bless you. May God bless your families.